listening to the Grassroots Network podcast, exclusively on the Pod Station. Get social at the Grassroots Network on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Today's episode of the Grassroots Network podcast, I'm joined by Eamon Buhalfaia. Eamon runs a toddler football coaching company called Footie Bees. It was really interesting to hear his story and how he got into the industry, and also about his coaching experiences. For anyone who coaches younger age groups, this is a great insight into how to structure a practice, interact with younger children, and also inject a little bit of fun into your sessions. So if you enjoy this podcast, please feel free to check out all the Footie Bees social media, and also you can find out more information about their sessions from www.footiebees.co.uk. Thank you everyone, and thank you for listening. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Grassroots Network podcast. I'm joined by Eamon Buhalfaia. Hope I've said your second name right.
It's Bulhalfaia. Good try.
Bulhalfaia.
There you go.
He runs Footie Bees, which is a toddler football group based in the Wirral. And I've got him in today just to have a little chat about Footie Bees, about his coaching experiences and his playing career as well. So I'll start off by asking you, what was your... I mean, I know you're still playing. You're playing at a pretty decent level, but in terms of your playing and your coaching experiences, where did it start? How did it begin?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story, really. So I moved over here from Tunisia at the age of 9. I struggled a little bit with the language barrier thing. So I found sport, and especially football, a great vehicle for me to interact with other children socially. So my granddad took me to a Plymouth field, joined all Port Hawks, which are still going. And since then, I've had a love for football, and I've been privileged to have it as a career as well. And through that, got into PE, I went to university, etc. Playing wise, I've played for the likes of Vauxhall Youth, where we are right now. Won a couple of trophies with them. I've played West Cheshire for the likes of West Kirby, Heswall. I spent a lot of time in the Birkenhead Premier League, which is it's an interesting league, let's just say. Absolutely loved it. I was captain of Haygarth there for a few years. Had some great battles. Was in the Cheshire Cup. Some fantastic memories. We made really close friends. And currently I play for Rill FC in the Welsh leagues. I think we're unbeaten in like 22 games. The setup is, to be honest with you, because I'm a bit older now, I think you appreciate the setup more. When you're a bit younger, you just sort of blasé about it. You just sort of turn up with your boots, have a kick about. Right now, I'm coming to the end of my playing sort of amateur career. You turn up, there's coaches there who are very experienced, who've won major trophies and, Welsh Prems, etc. You've got a first aider, your kit's hung up, you've got a little stadium, the fan base are unbelievable. That's one thing I've noticed about the Welsh League. Doesn't matter if they're in a Prem or the 4th Division, 3rd Division, 2nd, 1st. The fan base are crazy. They'll come and travel, they'll sing songs, they'll have a pint with you after the game, they know you by name, you got the kids high-fiving you, asking for your shirt, and this is amateur. So that's the only difference, from that side of it. But I'm absolutely loving it. We won a trophy last week at Colwyn Bay in the final. We had, approximately 600 something people watching. Won 2-0. We're favourites for the league, looking like we'll win it this Saturday. We could win another cup as well. So it's just been, a great time. But going forward, I'll probably, hang my boots up soon and just continue with my coaching career. Maybe just play locally on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, at Rill then, because I don't want to ask how old you are, but how long do you reckon you've got left still playing?
Yeah, so I'll be 33 in June. I know I don't look it, do I?
No, you don't.
No, I get that a lot. I think it's a tan. Yeah, so I've probably got, at this standard on a Saturday, possibly my last season, or I'll see how pre-season goes, maybe another season. But due to work commitment and, Footie Bees is really busy at the moment. And, personally, with my personal life, I've got other things going on. So it's just really hard to play. I'm sure people listening out there who've got families and, who are married and you got other commitments on the side, it gets harder and harder as you get older. When you're young, you just turn up and it's fine. But away from the pitch, it's a bit more difficult. But at the same time, to release, I think you'd appreciate it more. So I step onto a pitch, or whether I've got problems with work or I've got, from a mental health perspective, you leave that all behind. You step over that white line and you're with the lads, and I think it's a great release. So I think I'll carry on playing until I physically can't.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if I can play till the age of like 38, even on a Sunday, that'll be brilliant for me. So,
going to vets footy.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I've got a couple of friends in vets, and by the sounds of it, it's really competitive, like, and it's good standard.
Yeah.
So I probably will get into vets eventually, but they'll probably ask for my ID. Yeah.
Well, when you moved over from Tunisia, did you play in Tunisia as well? Did you?
Yeah.
From what you could probably remember.
Yeah. So I played with my older brother Abby. If you could describe us as Premier League players, he was more Kolo Toure, I was more Yaya Toure sort of thing. So he was 4 years older. So we literally played every day, whether it was on the beach or on the street. Didn't have the privilege of wearing boots, but so I think it got me stronger as a player, and that's probably why I like to get stuck in a little bit now. He was a great player, but unfortunately, due to a couple of injuries and niggles, he stopped playing, and he went towards. He's a black belt in Taekwondo and karate, so he went towards that, and he was scrapping on a pitch at times anyway, so I think it was a good thing. But yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it as a kid, and even in Tunisia, I had the love of football and tried to watch the Premier League there, and they had their own league as well. So yeah, it was great.
Mm. When did your coaching sort of start then? When did you start getting into it and realise that you were probably really good at it? Because I've seen you coach, and absolutely fantastic in terms of your inclusion with the kids, how you speak to the kids, how you get them involved. I mean, even from a senior point of view, being involved in Sunday league games as well, there's such a difference. But when did the coaching journey start?
Yeah, I think I've always been intrigued by the coaching, even as a player. I think it started as a kid during training. I was really interested in that side of things, and why has he done that and why has he done that. I was always the kid who questioned it. Probably a little bit annoying to the coach looking back. But it started at college as a Wirral Met doing sports and exercise science. I think one of the modules was coaching. I just turned 16. I did the session and I felt really comfortable. I felt like, it was a bit of a breeze. Not to blow my own trumpet, I excelled compared to some of the other students. And through that, I end up, getting a couple of coaching roles and progressed to university and, went on to different roles. So yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah. What was your first sort of coaching role then?
My first coaching role was for I did a little bit of university. I went to a company called Challenger Sports in the summer, in one of the summers at uni, and I coached football there. That was from toddler classes all the way to 18. So it's like a summer thing. You stayed with a different family every week. Really,
was that in the States? Was it?
Yeah, in America. Yeah, it's such a from a growth point of view, I'd recommend to anyone who's quite young, 18, 19. It develops you so much. I felt like a different person when I come back. I did that as well in 2009, 2010. I went back 2012, did a 9-month contract with a different company. And it was really interesting to see how they coach. I also coached for a company years ago, HQ Coaching. And I learned quite a lot because I just literally... I think some of the coaches now get a bit too much attention at times. Back then, you just get given a ball. Probably you're the same. A bag of balls, some cones. You're in a school all
and
day.
Off you go.
Off you go. Sort of thrown in the deep end, sink or swim moment. And I think I just excelled at that. And through that, I got various roles. I went to another company called Premier Sport. I took a management role there. Really enjoyed it. I was in different schools. I did lots of quality assurance. So at that point, I was looking at other staff, progressing them as well, making sure, they were developing the coaching style, the way the school relations was a big thing, how you taught different age groups, whether key stage 1, 2 or 3 is really important. Then I moved on to, I got an area manager role at Little Sports Coach in LSC. They branched out to Merseyside. I sort of took that role on 5 years. That was a blank canvas. So I literally had one school in Kirby. I had no office. I used to go to the likes of McDonald's and Starbucks just for the Wi-Fi. So that was interesting. By the time I left, I think we had around 22 schools, 2 soccer schools, which were thriving. That's toddlers from 18 months to 11 years old. We also had 2 holiday courses, which were successful. We had FC Sports, which was a junior football club, which took part in, I think, Mossy Hill Leagues over there.
Yeah, was that with Daniel Gavin?
Yeah, Daniel was about.
Yeah. I worked for them for a little bit when we lived over in Liverpool.
Did you?
Yeah. We worked with a lad called Sean, and we used to do out of, is it Childer on the 5 ways roundabout. We used to do little sessions for exactly the same. It was like 5 and 6 year olds, and obviously that must have progressed them into teams and stuff.
Yeah, into teams. Yeah. So yeah, with that role, obviously that was more of a leadership thing. So I learned through the CEO of LSC, Craig Brennan. He was really good as a mentor. He shaped me. I was really good as the school relations with people. He was really good from a business perspective. So there's a reason why we do this. There's a reason why we do that. Like any CEO, he had different visions, and I did. So I decided to leave that role. And a dream of mine has always been to sort of set up my own thing. And due to COVID, it sort of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my next question. When you were in these couple of roles, did you always feel like you were meant to run something yourself? And why toddlers as well? Because toddlers, for me, when we started doing our 4s and 5s and 6s with Bromber and Eastham, I was out of my depth. Have you always just been kind of at ease with that age group and able to be confident with that age group? And what are the skills that are sort of needed for that age group? Because it can be quite difficult.
Yeah. So when I had the LSE role, I did, I did get promised sort of part ownership and profit shares, and a lot of these businesses do. In the end, it didn't materialize really. However, I've always had this idea. So this started from probably 2009. I saw the way the Americans did it. And then in 2012, I worked for a company called US Sports Institute, where we were in New Jersey, New York. And the way they went about it was superb. They did different topics of sport. The Americans absolutely loved it. They got a kit. And the buzz of it was like electric. And they were coming week in, week out. And I'm thinking, why isn't this happening in England? There's 1 or 2 companies, but it should be more. It was the norm over there. So I got together. I was looking to do it on my own, and then a friend of mine who worked with me at Premier Sports, and he was my assistant manager at LSC, called Mike Harper. Me and him have always excelled with the little ones, with the toddlers, and I told him this idea. I don't think he was fond of the bee idea. Bees are very important in the world anyway. That was sort of my thing. When I was teaching, I was called Mr. B, which is my long last name, as you could tell before. You couldn't say it. And Footie Bees is it's and yellow, the marketing aspect of things, I think it's really powerful. He didn't really like that idea, but we come together and we come up with all these ideas. We decided to go ahead with it, and I think if it wasn't for COVID, I probably would have delayed it. Due to COVID, we sort of put all our ideas together, and we thought we'd launch it after COVID if it ever happens. Obviously, there was a couple of delays because of that. But just going back to your question about why is it, I think that's the reason why I've launched it, is sort of the other side of it, how I'm looking at it. Because you could get a UEFA coach, you throw them a load of 3-year-olds, and they might look like the worst coach in the world. I think it's an art in itself. For the biggest thing about it is the coaches. You need to find the right coaches to deliver that age group. You can tell a 12-year-old to do a Cruyff turn, that's fine. You can say it. However, with these little ones, you got to have a personality. They absolutely bounce off your energy. You got to have a plan, not plan B, plan C, D, because you could have the best session in the world. However, they might not be in the mood. A couple of them crying. You need to get them back and engaged. And your session plan might go outside the window. You need to interact with parents in the right manner. You need to be a bit silly. At times you got to act like a monkey, or you got to pretend you're Woody from Toy Story, or along them lines. And that's what we've done at Footie Bees, is we've sort of, it's cross curricular. So a lot of our coaches aren't just level 1 trained who are 18. These coaches are very experienced. They come from a PE background, education background. They've taught these little ones, for years. And I'll put my hand up. There's, the baby bees, which 18 months to 2.5. It is difficult, and some of it is free play. Some of it is guided learning. But what we do is we have these topics every week. So we have animals, colours, numbers, our planet, story time, healthy food. With these topics, it sort of brings it to life. And as they come in, we got, the A boards out, we got the yellow cones out, we got the roller banner out. Sometimes we'll bring our mascot, Bobby the Bee. I mean, he's a 6 foot be. So some kids might be scared of him, but most of them like him.
Please tell me it's Ben Scott.
Do you know what? I'm absolutely gutted. We did a birthday party the other week, and he's too big for it. He's 6'3", so I think he can only reach like 6'1". So I had to get in it as an owner, show him how it's done, sort of thing. High five the kids. So from a visual point of view, because a lot of the kids are visual learners, kinesthetic learners, they got to do things, they got to see it. So from that point of view, all the cones are out in different colours. We use different type of equipments. We do, for example, with the mini bees, at the end, we don't play matches. We'll do a little obstacle course where they go through the tunnel, they jump over a hurdle, they throw something in the hoop, score a goal. So we do, it's basically learning through play. How, looking back even from a player, some of the best sessions I took part in as a player, whether it was at a good standard or whether as a child, I was enjoying myself. I was absolutely loving it, having a bit of a laugh. So that's how I do it. That's how we do all our sessions. We make sure that the kids are having a great time and learning, but we'll throw some things in, right? When we're dribbling round now, look out for the lion, keep your head up. If the lion comes, put your foot on the ball and freeze. Or it might be, right, this time we've put out the fire because we're being fireman Sam, it's story time. We've kicked the ball, it's hit the fire. This time, can we use our other foot, the one we don't like, weaker foot? Can we take a step back? So they're getting coaching points, but they're probably not realising. So because
it's been given in such an interactive way.
Yeah.
A way that's enjoyable.
Yeah, and you just have to be clever. Transitions, I think some coaches don't realise the importance of transitions. Now, these sessions are 45 minutes. I've watched some superb coaches. They take 5 to 6 minutes to set up a session. It's like, what are you doing? The kids are standing around, they start getting whingy, etc. You literally do one activity. So if I'm doing animals, for example, and I'm doing an activity where my trip to the zoo and we're going to different animals, I will have the next progression in my hand ready. And sometimes I don't even stop the kids. I'll say, right, we've done that this time. Can we throw it in the goal, go in the middle, score a goal? You're just constantly progression, and you need to be one step ahead. You basically need to be literally on your toes with the little ones. Interactive. The sessions aren't very long, but yeah. So the biggest thing for me is learning through play is vital. Making it as interesting as possible. So getting the kids to use their imagination, and making it sort of a social aspect as well. Getting to know the coaches. Now I'll go to a session. We got our first venue was Foxfield with Ben, you mentioned before. I've got my friends taking their kids, and I'll be honest with you, they don't even like me anymore. They're like, oh, where's Ben?
They want Coach Ben.
Where's Ben? And do you know what? Football, you realise after a while, isn't even top of the list. They say, let's go and see Coach Ben. Let's go to Footie Bees. Oh, this week we're doing we're doing story time. That Coach Ben told us we're going to do a Toy Story game, and football will be after it. Oh, I scored a goal today, and that'll be further down the line. And at that age, that's what it should be. Do you know what I mean? And that's how you keep them interactive. So it's inclusive. It's not just for the boys, who can top in it with the left foot. It's for the girl who wants to come as a princess 1 week instead of a footy kid. It's for someone who might have ADHD or autism, but we treat that in the right way. So we've had kids who haven't been diagnosed but are autistic, but due to the coaches working in the school environment, they'll highlight that really early.
Yeah, and you'll say to deal with it, aren't they?
Yeah, say Joe Bloggs, Joe, come sit with me. Do you mind putting them in colours for me? What game do you like? What do you like out of Footie Bees? I love dinosaurs. Right, next week we're doing animals. What we can do, one of the games we'll do dinosaurs. And that kid that week, if he's having a bad week, he might just join in 15 minutes. Yeah. The parents will be absolutely thrilled. So you just got to treat each child differently, but at the same time, don't exclude them. Make sure they're part of the session. So that's really important.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you about what Footie Bees is, so we'll go into a little bit more detail. You've talked about your coaching structure and how you do things. So solely your age groups, what you kind of do for them age groups, and what kind of outcomes do you want from your sessions? Do you want these kids to progress into football and grassroots? And
yeah, so just the age groups. So it is 18 months to 5 years. That's our age group. So as soon as they turn 6, they will move on to so we're going to signpost them to the likes of yourselves, junior clubs, etc. So it's using it as a platform. So the age groups is 18 months to 5. The 3 age groups we've got is Baby Bees, the first class, which is probably the hardest, but at the same time can be the most rewarding.
It's the most rewarding.
It is really good. I mean, getting an 18-month child to do anything is unbelievable, but when you're getting them to follow instructions for 45 minutes, I think it's a miracle. So that's baby bees, 18 months to 2.5. The next age group is mini bees, which is 2.5 to 3.5. Then our biggest age group is the baller bees, which is 3.5 to 5 and 11 months, so just before the 6, and that's a little bit more advanced. So if you look at the baby bees, they all have milestones. So I'm showing Zach right now our sticker chart. So on our sticker chart, they have different milestones. So if you look at baby bees, we've got, they've got to achieve gross motor skills, demonstrate various movements, enjoy scoring goals, something really simple, but they have to display that before they move on. Display independence, listen and understand to others. So that's the baby bees. I won't go through them all, obviously, but compared to the baller bees, which will be a little bit more advanced, you look at, learn numeracy and literacy. So when we're doing numbers, can he count? Can he take away? Can he times? We'll show them visual aids with this. So we might have Bobby, 6 bobbies plus 4 bobbies. We'll get Bobby's bag out. So it's a bag full of tricks, really, with Q&As. Teamwork, skills and tricks, can use the left and right, fine motor skills. So that's the other spectrum of things. So that's really important from my side. After working in primary schools, and especially working with early years, because I've done quite a lot of PE in early years as well, and looking at the curriculum and what they should be achieving at a certain age, we try to incorporate that, but also add some other things that link more to sport, really. But yeah, and we also have 3 goals as a business, which is be active, so hence the B. So we want all children to be physically active during the session. One of them to be creative. So sometimes you'll see, even in a school environment, to be honest with you, like teachers holding kids back when they're being creative. I see it in the playground with lunchtime supervisors. Some kids, they're playing a fun game, they're not hurting anyone, and they're stopping them from doing it. You just let them be free, you know what I mean? They're enjoying themselves, they're being themselves. And then just be yourself. Again, we've all got unique personalities, and I think that's why when I sit down with a coach I want to hire, they could have the best CVs in the world. I'm sure you've had this as well, Zach. But they might have the personality of a banana. So having that personality, having that twinkle in their eye, the enthusiasm, you can't buy that. And that's really important. And we go with that for the kids. We want them to be themselves. We want them to show their unique personality. We had a kid dressed as Elsa for the whole session the other day. We've got a kid that sometimes comes with a cape on. Just Absolutely, be yourself, enjoy it. Yeah. So that's really important for us regarding, the 3 age groups.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So when the kids go through, how do they respond quite well to the chart? Do they enjoy it? Is it something that they look forward to? Because I'm just interested to understand that at such a young age, goal setting and obviously seeing your milestones. I mean, as parents probably do it a lot anyway, but we take it as pride. So would you say it's more for the player or more for the parents?
I'd say regarding the sticker chart. So at the end of each session, they'll get 1 sticker. With that 1 sticker, they'll add it on. So week 1, week 2, and so forth. When they reach week 10, week 20, these are the milestones. So week 10, they get a bottle. Week 20, they might get a medal. The kids know about that because it's a prize.
Yeah, of course they do.
After 10, they get a prize. So it's their ownership, really. With a baby, you're obviously... so how we do it with a baby, and this is how we get information across. During a session with a baby, the parents are joining in. So if you're doing an activity, the parents are joining in. You're sort of telling the parents, they'll tell the kids. Some baby, when they reach 2.5, are more engaged, but that's how we run a session. And that's how we get the information across. Parallel to that, mini bees, it's more half and half. So we'll do an activity, we'll tell them information, but at the same time, we might mention it to the parents. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, parents, if you want to just give them a hand with this one because it's a bit tricky, then you can't. And that's the same with the information. Baller bees, we want that independence. We're telling them, you need to show a bit of independence, actually. Tell your parents when you reach week 9, tell your coach what should be next. Yeah, coach, they should be coming up to us to get that 10 sticker. But regarding the milestones, it's more from our perspective, the milestones. But with the stickers, even the Easter stickers or birthday stickers, they will tell you. So they'll see on it, because they have the sticker chart, which is really good, which is, feel that you can't really
quality,
rip it.
Isn't it? It's like a poster, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can't, well, I say you can't rip it. So they put it on their wall. when he reached 50, that's the huge milestone. You get a big, massive trophy, big celebration. But the idea is just fill it all up, and at the same time, they're developing, and they're developing all sorts, the physical side of things, emotional, the social side of things, the cognitive development, looking at COVID as well, kids' mental health is sort of...
It's in the toilet, isn't it? Because a lot of them haven't had that chance to be active and be out doing stuff. So that has a massive impact on it.
Yeah, well, I've got friends. I'm at that age. Well, a lot of my friends have got toddlers. I mean, some of them, this is the first experience they've got, which is within a club. They're just coming up to 2 years old, and their life is totally different, and I feel sorry for them, to be honest with you. And due to the way society is at the moment, kids don't go out and play as much.
No, they don't.
And I sound like probably a bit older than my age, but I went out all day and played, and my mum didn't worry about me, even at the age of 10 or whatever. And I used to go home when the lampposts come on.
Yeah.
And some of these kids aren't getting that, and even at a young age, they're on the tablets a lot. And we want to get them as active as possible, because this is, some of them aren't engaged at first. I'm making it out to say this is very easy. Being with toddlers early years is difficult. We've had kids that will sit on the side for 2 weeks crying, and I always encourage the parents, you know what? Because the first one's free anyway. Just give it a couple more weeks, see how he gets on, see how she gets on, and then you'll find out by week 6, this kid is flying through the door, not even saying hello to his parents, not even looking at them, picking up the ball from the hoop, going, scoring goals, speaking to the coach, and they're right in there. Yeah,
your first biggest obstacle is getting the child to the session. Once they're at the session, they see footballs. We've done it a couple of times on our very first session of 4 or 5 year olds. You get some that come up and they're shy. And as a coach, all you need to do is go up to them and show them the football and go, okay, you don't have to join in the session. Join in the session when you're ready. But please just kick a ball inside with your mum and dad.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Go for it. And then I tell you what, in 5 minutes later, I'll come and check in with you. And if you like what you see, coming in and joining in. That is the biggest barrier. A lot of parents, I mean, my she's 3, and I'm probably going to start her pretty soon, because for what I do, she's always been on a pitch with a football. She's 3 years old and she can dribble the ball better than me. And that's
not hard.
It's absolutely madness.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to have to get her in here. But if she doesn't like it, after a certain amount of time, then fair enough, she doesn't come.
Yeah, sometimes
that first obstacle is getting them to the session.
Exactly, exactly. And you'll see, once they've got the kits on, and, once they get on with some of the other kids, and actually, it might be something as small as we're doing a topic and it's landed on something they absolutely love. Do you know what I mean? It might be to do with colours, and this child's obsessed with colours, and that's the week we're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But get it down.
I think we are. I think we are before, because she's got another year or two before she starts coming to one of our sessions with B&E. So that'll be quite interesting. I mean, we've talked about it and touched on it, but what's the main difference? So for, like you said, for babies and probably up to 4 year olds, what's that main difference in coaching? Because you said sometimes you just have to be that clown. And when I've described it to people, when I first went in, I'm a UEFA B licensed coach. Now, my business partner at the time, Lachlan, he'd worked out in the States, he'd done all this, and he had massive experience with them. Honest to God, I turned up, similar to what you said before, I turned up with a session plan thinking, oh, this is great, this. Tried to get the kids to do it, and it just fell on its bum after about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm stood there looking at him, and he's just laughing his head off.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to adapt. Now, fast forward 6 months later, you understand that you can be a clown and put the technical sort of smaller aspects of football in. But for someone like you with so much experience, what is that main difference? Like, we've got a lot of coaches now who were taking on under 6s and 7s teams at Bromber and Eastham.
Yeah.
And we're trying to give them advice. So,
I mean, I've helped out with that.
You have.
The numbers are great, to be honest with you. And, hats off to you. You're getting all these kids from the local community to turn up to a field and get on with the session. And it's fantastic. The numbers are through the roof. But just going back to your question, what's the difference coaching the toddlers? I just go back again. It comes down to the coach's mindset and energy, the way they approach things. You can't turn up 5 minutes before the session for a tot session. It comes through your preparation. Fail to prepare to fail. If you're going to turn up 2 minutes before the session thinking you're going to blag it, you can't get away with it at this age. So it comes down to your mindset, your energy. Children are at that age, you'll see them, they're like, right, how can I wear this? So if I go to a wedding, I'm a bit of a clown. I'll be chatting to some of the kids and like they'll be high-fiving me and all this, and all, like some of my family go like, oh, it's Eamon again doing that. But they can see things that we can't see. They can see that you're really good with kids, and it's an art of theirs. So I'd say it comes down to your preparation is massive for me. Your mindset, the way you're seeing things, your energy, and you just need to sort of, your transparency as well. You need to sort of let go. Some coaches will approach a session and you can see they're a bit like shy, and I get what they're saying. They don't want to act like a monkey. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. But if you let go a little bit and let some of these kids in, then you're going to get a lot more from them. I've seen some of them bark orders like a drill sergeant, and it does not work. So that's why you got to be very particular. And if you are hiring younger, for anyone who's running a tot session, whoever's listening, you need to look at the coaches, and it comes down to the personality. It comes down to their attitude and, their interaction within the children. If you're going to get someone who's quite lethargic, can be a little bit negative, they're not going to excel. They might be all right with 12-year-olds. They might have a bit of banter with the 12-year-old, and I see that. They've got more of a crack with the 12-year-olds. I mean, I've done some of your holiday courses, and there's one or two coaches who are amazing with the older ones, you know what I mean? They really struggle with the younger ones. You have to speak to them in a different way. And the best thing to do that, if you can get coaches who've got a bit of education background, even as a TA maybe with early years, or, PE. So what we do is we'll have a head coach at Footie Bees, but the assistant is never like the head coach. It's very rare. So I'll have a head coach who's like fire, a bit like me, looking at psychologically, you got earth, wind, fire, water. I think it's like a psychological test. You'll get like some me, Mike, Ben, who are very sort of loud in your face, jokey. But then the assistants, I'll always try and get, I'm not being sexist, sometimes a female who's more of an introvert, who some of the other kids might, speak to, because they don't want to speak to the likes of me and Mike. So you need to get that right balance, who's engaged with the children. So yeah, it just comes down to the coaches. They need to have a real love for what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, talking from my experience, it took me a good 6 months to a year to adjust. And what you've just said there about letting it go, that took me a while, because I was not adamant, but I was very sort of insistent on, right, we're going to make these technical sessions. And when you realise a kid can't, okay, they can do the basics, toe taps, penguin walks and stuff like that. But when you realise they can't turn with like the outside of the foot because the motor skills and the fine things aren't there.
Yeah.
You've kind of just got to look at it and go, right, okay, how do I adjust? How do I make something more enjoyable where, okay, we play wacky races now. Mm-hmm. Everyone has to go and dribble round the cone 3 times and try to use the outside of the foot. It's just building that progression slowly, but yet putting that fun twist on it. And again, for anyone who's taking younger age groups, keep the fun, keep it so it's engaging and you're finding different ways, like the likes of colours, animals, dinosaurs, pirates. We like giants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because when you link it back to when they're having fun, you get the maximum benefit out of it. And then selfishly, so our under 6s from last year, they're playing games now. So every now and again in between our sessions, we'll go and watch them on the 5-side pitches at South Whittle.
Yeah.
And to see some of the kids doing some of the stuff that we were doing in the sessions, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly.
Even just simple, it's rewarding as a coach.
Yeah. And I think just touching on that as well, you need to start them early, because when you get to these clubs or even to a holiday course, it's quite overwhelming. So if they've already had that experience of being in that environment, they're a step ahead as well. And then just going about the sessions as well. And I used to do this as well, I'll be honest with you, when I was younger. Think sometimes when you've got a plan in your head he's scared to change it.
Yeah.
Because you have prepared that session. But if you've got that plan in your head, don't be scared to change it back. And sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 activities. You go 2 activities. Like I've got 2 or 3 in my head right now, and I think, do you know what? If it goes terrible, let's, for example, there's a silly game during story week. If I've got that topic of Footie Bees, we'll play Toy Story. And it's a dead simple aspect. You've probably played it a million times. And all the kids do, get a ball. Andy's asleep on one side. They dribble it really slowly. If Andy wakes up, they put the foot on the ball or fall to the floor like a toy.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And because they love it and they're giggling their heads off, then, I go back to it. And then you can carry on with your session. So don't be scared to have a plan B, C, D, like I mentioned before. And that's what you need at this age group. You really do.
Mm. So when they've gone through, I mean, how do you see it in the future? Because obviously you're expanding, you're adding different venues. Would you want to link up with local clubs within that area, or because obviously you can't have a kid travelling from like Wallasey to Bromborough.
Yeah.
So would you want that connection with local clubs in the area to say, look, we've got a pool of children here who are looking to continue football. Can we progress them into that way?
Yeah, so we're quite new, although the idea has been here for years. So we want to get the foundations right first. But the idea is to link up with, I think some people are scared to link up with other coaching companies, if I'm totally honest with you.
Yeah.
I've got a friend in Liverpool, Neil Hume. He runs Platinum Dance and Sport. Top lad. I always speak to him. I've got yourself. I'm not scared to speak to him. I used to go into schools. If there was another company, I'd go up and speak to them. I think that rivalry should evaporate.
There seems to be a bit of jealousy. I mean, we've got it here where at Vauxhall's we have about 5 or 6 different football camps going off at the same time. We have Andy from Shooting Boots here, and I love Andy to bits, and I love what they do.
Yeah.
For me, I've always thought, I can't remember how much it was, but I think there was like 8,000 children registered to the Eastern Junior and District League. If you can't attract 100 of them kids because your coaching is quality and whatever, you don't need to bring other companies down and slate what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm hoping to get Danny Holmes from EPD on here and talk to him about what he does and how he does things.
Yeah, he's a good lad, Danny.
No insecurities or whatever, because if your company's doing what it's supposed to be doing, it's doing it the right way.
Yeah,
you're going to attract. Probably not nice to say, but you're going to attract customers. You're going to get players in, regardless of how you do.
Yeah, and I think if you work together, sometimes
you benefit everyone.
You are benefited. Sometimes, a child might. We've got coaching companies actually at Foxfield at the same venue on a Sunday, and hats off to them. There was something up at the hall at the Foxfield. He messaged us and said, just to let you know, it's a little bit slippy at Foxfield. Just make sure, this was a Friday night. Make sure tomorrow that it's all right. And, you didn't have to do that. And it just shows, hopefully there's a change in the water. But I'd like to see when they've turned 6 at Footie Bees, they can go to Peninsula or Eastham and Bromborough. They can go Peninsula holiday courses. They can go to Eastham and Bromborough, and I'll go, here's the details, bang. If we're at Wallasey venue, I'd like to go, okay, here's Greenleys who train under the same venue.
Yeah.
I just haven't had a chance to speak. So anyone from Greenleys, let me know.
Yeah.
Contact Footie Bees. And so forth. We're moving to, I've got no contacts in Foxfield. We're going to Heswell, hopefully, Chest, Ellesmere-Port. So we don't want to just stop at Footie Bees. We want, to signpost them elsewhere, really. And then the bigger picture for Footie Bees will be going to franchising in the future.
Yeah.
And
well, I've seen that recently. Have you seen the Fun Factory? Who's Luke? Is it Luke Chadwick?
Yeah.
Where he's in Centre Parks now, isn't he? Delivering football sessions there and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when I spoke to you, when we were at a christening and stuff, like you were talking about the other different elements. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Yeah. But, so Footie Bees is really just it's a branch of a big tree, really. So I've had numerous ideas over the years. So the company is Sporty Bees Limited, and one of the branches is Footie Bees. We do want to eventually go into sort of Boogie Bees, which is gymnastics and dance. Basketball bees. I've got a friend at Cheshire Phoenix, which is an early years basketball session. We got Sporty Bees, which will be more of a PE early years sort of sessions, specialist program. But that's further down the line. Do you know what I mean? But the branding's really strong. We've got everything ready there. It's just you've got to do it all at the right time. I'm not the type of guy or type of person to move on too quickly. I'd rather get the formula right, whether it is small for now. and then you can progress after that. But in regards to Footie Bees as a program, we are looking to franchise it, and hopefully, the likes of Diddy Kicks are all over England now, and there's other companies out there as well.
Yeah, I think the general idea of the bee and the colours and the branding and the marketing, I think that's really important. I think it can be quite a general and broad spectrum of what you offer, and like you said, Diddy Kicks and Footie Tots and Footie Cubs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I see it in terms of the business side of it, is it seems to be a different company popping up every now and again. It can be quite a saturated market, but something that's just popped into my head is what makes you different then? What makes you guys different, which might bring people into you guys? Yeah,
again, I probably sound like I'm repeating myself. I think it's just, we're very fussy about who we let coach. So it just comes down to the coaches, the quality of the coach. I'm not saying some of the coaches in other businesses aren't as good, but the feedback we've had in such a short space of time is how brilliant our coaches are. And we've put all this effort into marketing. We put all this effort into buying a 6-foot bee, into the branding, into designs, into website, into changing to Class for Kids as a booking system, doing this, doing our social media. And the best thing we get is, oh my God, my kids absolutely love the session with Coach Ben. And that's the bread and butter. That's what it comes down to. And I wouldn't never come on here and slag off other companies. But the thing they say the most is how amazing you are with the kids. And I think in a nutshell, that's the difference. We won't hire anyone who isn't fit to run a session, basically how we want it to run. And you get training, you get a weekly session plan. So we're literally spoon feeding them at times.
Yeah.
You get all the resources and tools they need, the cones, the balls, the parachutes, all this. They get the training, they get the uniform. The pay's probably the best out there if you want to talk about, the pay aspect of things. I mean, even an assistant coach, you're helping set up, you're high-fiving kids and you're getting paid at the age of 18 of, quite good money.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant life.
If you enjoy footy coaching as well, it's doing what you love. You're not stood in a restaurant kitchen taking plates out and stuff like that.
Exactly.
You're playing footy, you're being active, you're out in the sun.
It's amazing, yeah. And from that side of things, so doing that as well. If you're only starting at 18, it's a good way of starting to coach as well, because you're getting a blank canvas. It's like trying to teach someone to ride a horse who've been riding for years. They've already got the habits, do you know what I mean? But when they're coaching and they're a blank canvas, they're starting with the youngsters. If they're starting with the under 14s, then the youngsters, they're going to struggle more. They get the basics right with the youngsters, they can progress to others. And that comes to the coaches. We're not just here some coach might stay with us for a year, that's fine, move on. I think some people get upset when coaches leave and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I actually want to see the coaches do well, even in my previous companies. I never got the ump if someone moved on to teaching or someone set up their own company. If someone did that, I'm actually happy. If they go and do a job that they're not passionate about, maybe I might say something. But yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover, and I think it was really good. So for anyone looking at joining who's got tots, they got over, was it 1.18 months, is it?
So it's 18 months to 5-year-olds. You can contact us or book a free trial. So every session, the first session, I think it's really important for it to be free. They might not like it straight away. So we've had some kids sign up and they're 18 months and they've come back, a year later because they didn't want to come.
They weren't ready.
So the first one's totally free. You can contact us. We've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look for @Footie Bees. How we book is through Class for Kids, which is, I'm sure you've seen it all over. It's really easy format. It's as simple as possible. You just book a trial. When they sign up, they get a one-off membership fee. With that, they get a kit, which I've shown Zach today. It's like a bespoke kit, yellow, with socks as well, a sticker chart, membership, and then you pay a monthly fee as well. But the payments is the last thing. If you want more information, we do have a website as well, which is footiebees.co.uk. But yeah, enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Zach,
I think it's really good. Thank you very much for coming on, mate, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of exposure and we can show people the benefits of, yes, getting your kids into football early, but for the social and the physical elements of getting your kid active, getting them into group settings where they can be with other kids and play and laugh and do it all through football, it's even better. So yeah, thank you very much, Eamon.
Just before he goes, I just want to say, at Peninsula as well, you did an amazing job. I know how hard it is, and I've been to see some of the sessions, and especially the holiday courses and extra. It's been amazing, and that's why I've recommended coaches to yourself. Yeah, I would never do that. So well done,
brilliant. Thank you very much, Eamon. I really appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get social at the Grassroots Network on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.